Most of you know about eminent domain. It's when the government can take your property for something like, let's say, a highway going in or an airport or something where they need the property and they're going to pay you allegedly fair market value for your property, correct? Okay, eminent domain. That's what that is. Have you ever heard a government using eminent domain to build a solar project, to put up solar panels? Well, it's allegedly happening, or it is happening, in the city of Detroit, Michigan. They're using eminent domain to put solar panels in neighborhoods in Detroit. Now, I'm just learning about this, and it's somewhat new. I'm talking to a real estate agent who is, according to him, blowing the whistle on all of this. He said they're not just taking homes that are dilapidated or falling apart, they're taking homes that are structurally sound that people are living in, and people are now having to live in hotels and motels because they are being forced out of their homes because the city wants to build solar. Before I get to that interview, I want to show you what the city of Detroit is saying in a statement. The statement is right here from the city of Detroit. It is typical for plaintiff lawyers to allege that a governmental agency or municipality has lowballed values on land subject to condemnation. The city of Detroit is confident that the 3-year property value sale look-back process used to determine price was both industry standard and fair. Recognizing we are actively involved in litigation, the city of Detroit will have no further comment. So that is the statement from the city of Detroit about all of this. I had some other questions for them, but they were not able to answer those questions because of what was going on. Uh, there's a lawsuit going on. Now, that statement actually came from, I'm going to correct it right here. That's the spokesperson for the city that gave me the statement, but that actually, the statement was written by uh, Corporation Counsel Conrad Mallett from the city of Detroit. That's where that statement came from. So this is a story that I'm going to be on top of, and there's a lot of legal nuances to it. And this is probably just the beginning of many stories that I'm going to be doing on this. But taking property by eminent domain for using it for solar, is that appropriate? Is it legal? I want to have you meet Darren McCleskey. He is the realtor involved in this. I talked to him about what's happening and his pushback against it. Very interesting things happening in Detroit, across the country, in the state of Michigan. Joining me now on the screen is Darren. Is it McCleskey?
Yep.
Okay, good to see you. You found me after I did a story in Saginaw about a woman's home that was demolished after a tree fell on the home, and that's how we connected. But for everyone who's watching, tell me a little bit about yourself. And I see you have someone who you said is your intern in the shot with you there. Tell us a little bit about what you're about.
Okay. Yep. So my name's Darren. I am my background's in engineering and real estate. I lived in Detroit for a number of years before moving to the suburbs and starting a family. This is Zach. He's actually a real estate agent at my office and also a Wayne State student studying business.
Okay.
So he's helped me a lot in terms of like gathering data and whatnot. But essentially, what happened is I owned a home in a neighborhood where the city earmarked it for a solar farm, and that brought me into this. So starting at the beginning, Detroit was given $14 million to tear down a power plant, and then they came up with this plan that really it's only going to cost $2 million to tear down the plant. So we have extra money. Well, they decided, what can we do with that money? And their plan now and currently is to tear down many homes and seize people's property, private property, to install solar farms across Detroit, 8 different neighborhoods.
That's okay. Yeah, so I always wondered about this. Okay, so Detroit was given $14 million to tear down. What plant was that? Was that Polt or what was it?
No, it's called Mistursky. It ran the lighting department, and it's on the riverfront down on West Jefferson.
Okay, so they were given 14 million to tear that down. Was it a federal grant?
We believe so. We
Okay.
believe so. They call it their utility conversion fund, is what it's called.
Okay, but taxpayer money, it sounds like, possibly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they say it didn't cost that much. There's money left over. Let's take over some neighborhoods and put up solar.
Yep.
So there's actually people living in those neighborhoods. You were one of them?
I did not live in the neighborhood. I had a home that was an investment property,
Okay.
but a bunch of my neighbors around did. They offered more money to people who lived in their homes and occupied their homes. And then it's all sorts of benefits that people get. If you live near it, you get a bunch of energy upgrades on your home. But there's plenty of homes that are in great condition, especially in State Fair, that they paid 80, 90, $100,000 to take.
Wow. So they have not yet done, they haven't done the eminent domain thing, have they?
No, we have.
They have.
They've taken hundreds of properties already, and no one's
Seriously.
talking about it. No one is talking about it. And honestly, if you go in the neighborhood and talk to the neighbors, some of them don't even know they've lost their property. So basically, they want to offset 100% of their city building power with solar. And they have the land. They have 1,800 acres of land on parcels above 10 acres. So they have land and they have consolidated land. They also have over 400 acres of land that is unused, that they're not even maintaining themselves, that they don't mow, that's abandoned. But they decided it's better to take private property for this project. And a lot of the people in these neighborhoods, they're generational Detroiters, they're immigrants and business owners. And what happened is if they can't find you for whatever reason,
Yeah.
they can tack your door. They literally can tape a lawsuit to your door or where they think you live, and you have 21 days to respond. And it's hard to even find an attorney in that amount of time.
So, and you're not making any of this up. This is what this is going,
No.
because you haven't heard about it. I have not heard this in any of the Detroit media. Have I missed it, or have they covered this?
They very minorly covered it, mostly on social media. The mayor flaunts it as this blight elimination plan, and they're rolling through neighborhoods. I mean, if you drive, we have a map on our website. If you drive through these neighborhoods, you'll see the homes are coming down.
Let me bring up your website here. And the website again, what is the website for people who are watching?
Yep, it's DetroitSolarScam.com.
Okay, so this is your website, and is this a
We're still adding to it. It's only about 2 weeks old.
okay,
But if you can view all the solar areas, I mean, it's a substantial part of the city, and they're expanding. Just Tuesday, they decided to spend $1.3 million extra buying 9 homes in potential future solar neighborhoods. So it's like they've gotten away with a taste of this with a couple neighborhoods, and they're just going hog wild now throughout the city. And
yeah.
the worst part is no restrictions. They're not restricting this land to solar only. So they're consolidating this land. They're not allowed to take it for private use or economic development. And they 1 year from now they can pay off DTE or Lightstar Renewables and have the property back, and they can use it. I mean, they can use it for whatever they want.
And
My
they will
parcel,
own it. And they will own it at that.
they will own it. And my parcel is a few blocks from the Amazon warehouse, right along Woodward, blocks from Woodward. It's a prime area.
So as I zoom in, so all the spots that you have here, there's a big one right off. What is this? Right, airport sub. Hold on, is that a Forest Lawn Cemetery?
Yep.
Oh, my mom actually
It's
grew
right
up.
by the Coleman Young Airport. I mean, they're big chunks of land. I mean, 20-acre parcels of land that they're consolidating, we believe, under the guise of solar. And
Is that what
and
they're saying? Are they saying it's solar?
oh yeah, they're saying it's an absolute necessity that the city of Detroit is a member of the Paris Climate Agreement.
Oh boy.
They've agreed to reduce their fossil fuel usage, and this is a necessity to save Detroiters from the threats of climate change.
And this is
That is what
taxpayer.
they're using.
This is taxpayer money going to what some would say destroy neighborhoods.
Destroy neighborhoods, or I mean, they're their own worst enemy. They're trying to get rid of speculators, is what they're saying. They're becoming the speculators. And all I asked for originally was a restriction. Use it for solar. If you ever stop using it for solar, it goes back to me or my heirs. I mean, that's a very common thing. They even changed the zoning code specifically, if you're designated as a solar neighborhood, they are allowed to do industrial solar farms in the middle of a residentially zoned neighborhood. Only themselves, though. Not like if I bought 20 acres in the city, I couldn't do it.
Really? So
But if it's
there's no free market, really.
a no,
They made their own market.
yeah,
Yeah, literally. It's so I
and
always thought,
they're selling this power to the grid, and then they're just taking it back downtown. So they could have bought 100 acres for a fraction of the price up in the thumb somewhere in a DTE service area. But what they're able to do is they're able to steamroll people in Detroit because they don't know how to respond to a 400-page lawsuit left at their door.
has there been a lawsuit? Have you filed a lawsuit, or has that happened?
Yes, I've been in multiple lawsuits so far. So this is one example that's a little telling. Like I said, I had a house. They originally offered $14,000 for it. I had to fight like hell. I had to go all out for 2-3 weeks of my time, day in and day out. I had to get a necessity review hearing scheduled for them to up their offer eventually to 70,000 and pay for my attorney fees. But I mean, that's because I was able to do that. A lot of people in Detroit, I mean, I was at a city council hearing where they talked about the staggering number of illiterate Detroiters, and then they talk about taking people's property. The next section, it's like people don't even know how to read the lawsuit, let alone hire an attorney. And the worst part is on these parcels, they're only offering $2,500, and it's based on completely fraudulent information.
I'm looking right here, and maybe because I'm in mid-Michigan, I grew up in the Detroit area, but yeah, September 2024, Detroit Free Press. Detroit files dozens of eminent domain lawsuits for solar. Yeah, so I think everyone else in the other parts of the state, maybe even in the suburbs of Detroit, think that they're only going in neighborhoods that are completely abandoned, homes that you see on, you know, homes that are burned down and no one's living in. And for example, in Flint, Michigan, up where I was a news anchor, there's neighborhoods, literally small sections where no one lives there. I think that's what we were all thinking is happening in Detroit. But you're telling me there are real homes and families in homes that they are taking.
Yep, there's a family on the east side that I just called up, and they inherited the home because they did not know how to put it through probate, and had the kids. They have owned the home since the 50s. The kids were living in the home, but they did not have a homestead status on it. They should have been entitled to over 90,000. They got 14,000 on one, 20,000 on another house, and the son's living in a hotel now. And it was in the news just last week. They found a burned body outside of the house. I mean, the city has completely absolved themselves of responsibility of providing basic safety in these neighborhoods. They go completely to crap, and then now they can pick up the pieces for pennies on the dollars. And it should be the people who stuck it out in those neighborhoods year in and year out for decades who get the reward.
Well, yeah, because the city also complained. Is it they wanted to tear down a highway because they said there was, it
Yep.
was racism involved and so forth. That they took a highway, divided a neighborhood, but now they're taking neighborhoods.
Yep. That came up at a city council meeting as well. They were talking about they don't know what to do with the land that's generated from taking out 375. So
That's
they're
it.
going to remove the highway that cut through Black Bottom. What do we do with the land? They don't know how to equitably disperse the land. Well, here they're taking land from people, but they're refusing to allow restrictions on it, so it goes back to the heirs if these solar panels are removed. And just remember, guys, solar panel can go anywhere. They can go on roofs. They can go on your backpack. People are putting them on cars. They don't have to go in any specific location, requiring the city of Detroit to seize your land, your private property, against your will. It's a huge overstep. It's a constitutional issue.
Wow. Yeah, I'm reading this article. An attorney, must be one of their attorneys, said it's a source of revenue. It's a use of land. The land they're condemning are not high demand land. It's not easily developable, but it will be. But what about, yeah, the people who are living there? I mean,
Is that Alan Ackerman?
yeah, yep.
Yeah, so he's the most prominent eminent domain attorney, and I'd love to hear what he wants to say now. But they really did what they needed to do to clear the way for this project.
Yeah, I,
He was involved in the Pole Town reversal that reversed Pole Town, that it couldn't be taken after that fiasco. And I've been in touch with him since. He's not willing to represent people because he went on record already with that statement, which is unfortunate.
wow. So, second of all, I mean, I have looked at research. I know Michigan wants to go like all solar, all wind by 2040. You are not going to power the entire state of Michigan with all solar and wind. You will not. It cannot happen. Are you against solar, or are you against the way this is being done? Because what's your take? Is it more of the
Yeah,
process?
yeah, it's totally the process. So I lived in a beautiful old home in Saline, Michigan. I had 33 solar panels on it. We were almost net zero throughout the year. I mean, I drive a Tesla. My wife drives a Tesla. I mean, we're pro renewable energy. I was the president in high school of my environmental club. I'm very pro renewables, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I cannot believe they're using it as a guise to seize people's land when they have way more than enough land already. It's like they have too much land already. They don't know what to do with it. They're not maintaining their own property. They have infrastructure failing all over the city, buildings blowing up, sinkholes flooding neighborhoods, and they want another project in neighborhoods where these solar panels are going to be scrapped. Give it a couple of weeks, they're going to be constant issues.
Well, that's a good point, because the city of Detroit, and you say you are pro. So there is a place for solar, but also, are there other pressing needs in that city that people's livelihoods rely on rather than solar? Right, that's your point too.
Yeah,
There's a lot of other issues in Detroit
yeah,
that are not being. So where do we stand now? Their program, is it fully? It's going. It's happening. Where do we
yeah.
stand with it?
So they have filed lawsuits in two neighborhoods, I believe, and they've gotten the majority of the land. In the neighborhood that I was in, there was one person who made it through. It's like a game of like kind of getting thrown out for technicalities. So we've had dozens of lawsuits filed, but they're dismissed for, in my case, one of my lawsuits, a margin was too small on an exhibit. So it was completely dismissed. And again, attorneys don't want to represent you when you're being offered $2,500 for a piece of land. So anyway, there's multiple lawsuits that are out there. They will often set aside the compensation amount. They don't want the necessity challenged, which is a constitutional right people have to say this is not necessary. That could kill the whole project. There's one woman who has a hearing coming up in a few weeks in this first phase. Then they have another phase where there's 5 more neighborhoods added. It's actually a total of 8 neighborhoods that they're doing this in.
Wow.
And then who knows where it stops? I mean, the precedent being set for this is incredible. You have farmers up who own their property and want to sell to a solar farm company. They're fighting like hell to keep zoning changes out. This is someone's actual land that's being taken, not a transaction where you need to change zoning. This is someone's land being forcibly taken from them.
And to fight that, you as an individual, you have to hire you don't have to, but you should they have to hire a lawyer, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of people, the average person, I would say, in these neighborhoods, or any neighborhood actually, they cannot afford to be doling out $300-500 an hour to a
Yeah.
lawyer. So if they don't have a lawyer, they can fight it for themselves, but it's most likely a losing proposition, I would imagine.
Yep. And an attorney typically gets 1/3 of the increased value,
Really?
which is fine. But what is the value going to be increased? We're arguing that the land should be worth somewhere between 9,000 and 10,000. They just filing a few motions exhausts that fee that an attorney would
Well,
get.
yeah, and then where are you going to live? I've thought about, my wife wanted to move out of my house, and I said, I got a 2% interest rate. These people would have to find another place to live, and housing is expensive as can be.
100%. Even I spoke with a woman last week. She's getting $92,000 for her house. She's like, well, I can't find anything. Like, It would be double that to move to Madison Heights or Hazel Park where her
At
kids
least,
live,
at
but
least.
her taxes will be triple or quadruple. So she doesn't know where she's going to go.
I would love to meet up with some of these people, and I'll message you in the weeks to come. And I'm reach out to the city. So they are doing eminent domain. Are there many people fighting? There's yourself. Are there others that are?
Yeah, yeah.
Are there
So
others
follow our
pushing?
website. Yeah, follow our website. Follow us on Facebook and everything. We're adding to it. There's a gentleman who owns a towing company. They're taking some land behind his towing shop where he can't even turn around trucks.
Wow.
He filed something, but his attorney made a mistake. It was dismissed. There's a lot of people who are fighting and want to fight, but they're tired. I mean, the city has $1 million per neighborhood is what their legal fees are. So they're spending $8 million on legal fees of the $12 million earmarked for the project. If that doesn't tell you where the money's going, I mean, that's their biggest impediment. It's too cloudy in Michigan. It's not DTE and connecting. It's legally. That's the power plant that they're supposed to tear down for $2 million.
Yeah.
Right there.
I think this is an eye opener to me, and I'm glad you found me. And things happen for a reason. But people were wondering. Let me get you. Let me get us back on screen here. I'm a one man show, so I'm doing it all doing it all myself here.
Yeah.
Um, I always thought that when this sort of thing happened, it might have been a street or a neighborhood where every home was abandoned. But that's not the case. It's not that's that because these some of these neighborhoods might have a burned out house, but
Yeah.
they're literally wanting to eminent domain homes that have families who've lived there for probably over 100 years or more.
Yeah. Or in one case, a Chaldean woman, she owned her yard next to her house. They took her yard and she didn't even know. The home's for sale right now. And I had to inform her, I'm like, that lot's not for sale with the house. And she said, what are you talking about? Had no clue that the land was taken next to her house.
Are Yeah, I am because this has been going on a couple years. I'm shocked. The Detroit
No,
News, the
not a
two
couple of years. It's all new. That's the problem. They started this in 2024 and they have pushed it through so fast.
so 2024 they started the program. I think I heard about it, but no one has questioned. It doesn't sound like anyone's questioned anything. I mean, there's been at city council meetings people spoke out, it sounds like.
Some people have. Some people have spoken out against it. I think a lot of people are afraid to fight City Hall.
Yeah, but
Honestly,
it's also like the Detroit News, Channel 7, any of the media like I used to work in, they're not touching this, it doesn't sound like.
it's Duggan's pet project, and it'd be very interesting. That's why I care a lot about what people elsewhere in the state think about this, because a mayor that's pushing this through in the city is potentially going to run the state. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question, and I think these questions need to be asked. You contact me because you saw the story in Saginaw about the home. It was torn down within a matter of hours. You're in real estate, or have you ever come across something like that? They say it was an emergency; it had to be torn down. But what
I
caught
mean,
your?
I could see, yeah, if it's at risk of collapsing on another structure or had was contaminated or leaking something, I could see that. But no, it would be in a matter of hours. You can cordon off the entire property with high fencing.
Okay, so you're in your messages to everyone, Detroit, the whole state. Always question. My dad taught me this. He passed away, but question everything.
Question everything and be very concerned about precedents being set, because if they can take someone's land or someone's house for solar, they can take it anywhere.
Yeah, and you're telling me in Detroit now they are using eminent domain to take people's homes that people are living in, and I don't think many people knew about this.
Mm-mm.
What can
So
people do?
follow us, and if you want to get involved,
Yeah.
message us on the website. Reach out to me personally. If you have any law background or your precedent setting, it's interesting how up north the state wanted to do this on their own land, and a few phone calls shut it down. In Detroit, stuff like this just goes wild. It's like it's. I mean, this isn't their land. This is private land that they're taking.
And the worst part is they did already pilot a solar farm in an abandoned park in the O'Shea neighborhood, and nobody batted an eye because it's their own land. They can do whatever they
Okay,
want
well
with them.
that's a good that's a great point because so it was like in a band there weren't no people living there. Is that what you're saying?
It was a parkland that they already had. So we have on our website lists of parcels that they already have that they could be using. We have well, just a lot of information. If you click on some of these links that are underlined, um, you'll hear it. The rooftop one, we have a map where they have more land on rooftops of the Amazon warehouse and the Target warehouse and a transportation center than the land they're taking next door in the neighborhood. They could fill the rooftops first and then maybe have to use some of their own land.
So there's obviously in your mind an ulterior motive then.
I believe so, and I'm fine even if this is a losing battle, being on record that that is the case.
Yeah, I think I got the graphic up here now. Um, yeah, and that's the argument a lot of times. There are other areas you can put them, but why are they dead set on literally taking people's homes? I think once people hear about this, they're going to be frustrated. Um, you probably meet people all the time in your comings and goings who probably don't know that this is happening, right? I mean, people in Detroit probably have no clue.
People say, I didn't know this was happening. And then when they're informed of it, they say, well, it's Detroit. I mean, it's like that's what Detroit's known for. Pull Town happened. It took a case by the airport to prevent that from happening again. I mean, it's like it's almost like in a way that's what's good about Detroit. It has unique challenges that can be solved. But when you go against a fundamental Fifth Amendment right that people have to their private property for something as flexible as solar, it's so wrong.
Yeah, it's not like there's a brand new expressway going in. They need to clear out homes. I've never heard, and I need to do some research of eminent domain for solar. I don't know if I've have you heard of this in other parts of the country or
I have not heard of it. I've heard of it for pipelines for carbon sequestration. That's one in Iowa that's being shut down. But exactly right. If there's a new on ramp or an off ramp on a highway, that highway is there. We need these parcels. They're directly next to the highway. Solar can go anywhere the sun shines.